Full Yossel. Was machst du, Rabbi Yosef? Shalom Aleichem, a good Novent. A good Chodesh, a good Shabbos, Kabbalah, Sateira, Besimcha, Pnimius. Reb Chaim Nusa, how old are you? 19, 20, 25?
18.
18. Enjoy being young. I just want you to know. You know, when you were very, very little, you always wanted to be big. And when you're very big, you want to be little. The earlier you figure that out, the longer you'll stay little. Which really means the bigger you'll be. Da steht, na sein jung. What the trademark of a young person is, Chaim? Young people are curious. Young people are energetic. Young people don't want to rest. You know what the trademark of old people, Chaim, is? They want to sit on a couch and eat popcorn and do nothing. They only do what they must. And then life is a drag. Even when they're doing what they must, everything is, even though it's for fun. Yeah, it's like people go on vacation, come back from vacation, that's machen noch einmal a vacation. Anyway, happy birthday, Shas Bracha V'Atzlocha. You're starting to say Kapitel Yutes, right?
Yep.
So the good news is you got a short kapitel and a familiar one. Yeah, you went from Yud Ches to the hard kapitel with a lot of funny words, right? Migdal or Magdil? Which one? In kapitel Yud Ches, say Migdal Shoyes Malke or Magdil Shoyes Malke?
Magdil.
Who said Magdil? Levi? Who said Magdil? Chaim. In Divrei Hayomim it says in one way. In other words, in Ksuvim it says in one way, and in Nevi'im it says in a different way. It's both Ksuvim, that's the emes. In Divrei Hayomim it says in one way, and the Tilm says another way. Right? What's the difference in Magdal Yishuas Malke and Migdal Yishuas Malke? Magdal is a verb. Hashem should make big. Migdal Yishuas Malke means that the Yeshua of Malke, the Eibish's Yeshua is a fortress. But Yutes is a nice kapitel. Hashemayim misapim kavei kele masa yadu magaderkia. Huh? The Eibish, the heavens are saying, that's what Kapitel Yutes is about. The heavens are announcing that the Eibish is the Balabas of the world. And you have to look to the heavens. You have to look to the heavens. There's a vort in the Rebbe's Shemis. Mati Harlag, I'll get to you in a minute, don't worry. You're an old man, he's a young guy, so I'm starting with him. And also I could see his face. I see a gray rectangle, so...
Must be your old, huh?
He's 20. And Chaim is 18. Anyway, so there's a vort in the Rebbe's Rishimis. It doesn't say a name. But there was a certain man, and we don't know for sure who he was. He was a big Talmud Chacham, a big God. And upon him, he was a big Talmud Chacham. He knew a lot how to learn. But apparently... Ruchni didn't have such a chush. He didn't have a feel for spiritual things. So the Rebbe Maharash commented about him. The context is not important. I don't know if the context is even there. He used some very strong expressions. There's words that I'm not saying. Apashten. Weiß Gott von kein Himmel nicht. He's a big Talmud Chacham, but everything is by him two-dimensional, flat. He has no idea that there's a sky. You know, when I was a kid in yeshiva, your age and younger, so I had this chus having Elter Bochum. Chassidish Bochum who were makar of me. And I owe them a debt for life. So one of them told me a mashal about the goat and the giraffe. You know the mashal of the goat and the giraffe? The mashal of the goat and the giraffe goes like this, that the giraffe is very tall. And he walks with his head up. The goat is very short, very small. And he walks with his head down. So the giraffe is talking to the goat. And he says to the goat, how's life? He says, well, I got grass, I got hay. I mean, goats can eat your shirt also if they're hungry, yeah. And they have water. And the giraffe says, and what about scenery? So the goat says, what is scenery? He says, what do you mean? The Eibush gave us 5 senses. 5. You could see beauty. You could hear beautiful sound. You could smell beautiful smells. You could taste tasty foods, and you could touch different textures. You're telling me about taste. You're telling me about smell. But could you see the beautiful world? And the goat says, I don't see beautiful world. Remember, look, I see earth. So the giraffe says to the goat, pick up your head, And you'll see Hashamayim Esap and see a beautiful sky with clouds and a mountain and a creek coming down from the top of the mountain, water cascading down into the valley where it forms a river, and it goes down into a lake, and you'll see trees and you'll see grass and you'll see alle gute Sachen. And the goat says, but my neck is not designed for the break up my neck, I'm going to hurt. And the giraffe says to the goat, I promise you it's worth it. Until you've seen the sky, until you've seen the Abish's beautiful world, you don't know what you're missing. It's going to be hard, you'll break your neck, you'll have to turn your neck in an unnatural position, and you'll be able to see the sky. So the goat trusts the giraffe, and with great anstrengung, with great exertion, he raises his head, looks around, and his neck is killing. He says to the giraffe, where? What are you talking about? Giraffe, you don't see? Look, there's the clouds. He said, what clouds? There's those little white things hovering in the sky. Yeah, and then he shows him the mountain, then he shows him the trees, and he shows him the fountains and the streams, and then the river. And the goat says, I don't see anything beautiful. He says, don't you look how beautiful it is? And the goat says, but I can't eat it. I can't eat it. And if I can't eat it, then what is it worth? Because a goat has no chush. The goat has no chush in the heavens. A goat has no chush in the heavens. A human being is not a goat. And your capital Yutes, Psalm 19, is about Hashamayim Esapim Kaved Keil, Umasa Yod Magad Rakia, to see the Abish's beautiful world. So you see, I said in the share recently, two people walk out into the street. One looks outside and he sees dangerous strangers and garbage on the sidewalk and all kinds of menacing things. Another person looks out into the street and he sees a beautiful world that the Abish made for him. That's kapitel Hashamayim Esapim Kaved Keil. Hu kachosn yetze michul poseh yosses a gibel or tzedach. Mistama, you said your kapitel today, yeah?
Yeah.
Chavzayin hier. Der Abish hat bracha v'atzlacha. Du sollst auswachsen Gesundheit, sein ein Mensch, sein ein Yid, sein ein Chossid, ein Shmaim, ein Lamden. Erstens darf man sich geben sich allein nachas. I give you a bracha that you should get pleasure from hard work. Because nothing in this world that's valuable and meaningful is without hard work. Verstehst du es mir nicht? Erst darf sich nehmen zu Moti Halik. You told me you're bringing up a ganze a whole mafia. Derweil I don't see no mafia. Wo der ganze Reilam? Oh, I see your father.
I brought the father.
Hi, Mendy. What'd you say? Shalom Aleichem.
That's my
Yeah.
whole mafia.
Yeah, that's the ganze mafia. Nicht gefährlich. You're turning 20, huh?
Yep,
So you start to say Kapitel Chafalef. What's Kapitel Chafalef? You said it today.
I did.
What's Kapitel Chafalef about? I don't even remember. It's a short one, right?
It is very.
It's a
very
short
short,
one.
yeah.
Chabez is long, but Chabez is a famous Kapitel.
It's not a short scarf.
It's not as short as Chaf, and it's not as familiar as Chaf, yeah? Let's take a look. I don't remember that. I remember when I learned 20. I remember when I turned 20. There's a Maimon Lukuta Teda. Listen, Mendy, Mottel, I should really make a Chazar Drush. I make a Farbrengen for you. I should charge. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, you should have to Chazar Maimer. So if you look on Lukuta Teda in Bamidben, this week's Pasha, there's a tiny Maimer. It's made special for you. It's literally a quarter of a page. It's a tiny Maimer. Ben Esim. Ben Esim. It's a short Ben Esim. It's Mamish Pashas Bamidben. The Ashkocha Pratis is also gewöhnlich. The whole Teuchen of the Maimer is the age of 20. You know that Api Alocha, the Gemara says that, first of all, the Bezdin Shal Maila doesn't punish you till you turn 20. So your father should make Nochamol Sheptarani. When you turn 13, he made Sheptarani on Shema Malchus by a Sefer Teda. Now we should go into a closet to make Sheptarani with 3 Shems and 3 Malchusen. You turn 20, so you're Mechoy within Shamayim. But there's a Gemara that speaks about trustworthiness, about reliability, yeah? If a person inherits an estate, he loses a parent, or whatever the case is, so there's different ages where you could trust him, right? Somebody owns something, it's his. But he's young, he's immature. So there's different gedarim, there's hapu'utes, there's different ages where you allow a person, an heir of an estate, to manage the estate. The most precious things in any estate is the real estate. It's called nechosim shesh lehem achrayus. Things that have achrayus. Achrayus means that they can be accountable for something else, and something else is accountable for them. Real estate is called nechosim shesh lehem achrayus. Nichse delay naide. So the halacha is, if someone inherits an estate, until he's 20, they don't let him handle the real estate. He can handle money, he can handle when he was a little boy. Metaltal and nichse denaide, he can handle it when he's reaches a certain age of maturity. But real estate, you got to be till 20. Why? Because you have to be very mature. So 20 is an age of a new madrega of maturity, right? Well, they shall helfen, and there was always nissen of gute Sachen. In Heintige Kapitel, you have a clear discussion. You have a clear reference to Mashiach. You have a Tillim. Take it out. You have a Tillim, take it out. Take out your Tillim, yeah?
It's my phone.
Currently, you have a buddy.
Okay, I have it.
Chaim v'lebracha, Chaim tev Shalom. Chaim v'lebracha. Reb Chaim, Harav Reb Chaim. Shnas bracha v'atzlacha. Mazel tov. And Reb Mordechai and Menachem Mendel. Shalom nachas from your boy chick. If more your kinder lach, gesundheit and freudigkeit. Chaim v'lebracha. Chaim tev Shalom. Chaim v'lebracha. Chaim Ezra. Chaim iPhone. Chaim Shmuel. Chaim Kanevsky. Chaim Levi. Chaim Chaim. Chaim v'lebracha. Which pasuk in Kapitel Chaf Aleph is about Mashiach? The whole thing is 14 psukim. So even if you're doing an ini and a mini and a mini and a mo, you can get it. Which pasuk is about Mashiach?
Am I supposed to get that for you, Rabbi?
Yes, not for me, for yourself. Which pasuk?
It's like one of the questions in class. We have to do a little digging to get the answer.
Okay, so give me the answer.
Let's see. Only have my glasses.
Does anybody know? Take out a Kapitel Chaf Aleph. Which pasuk in Kapitel Chaf Aleph is about Mashiach? Battle, you know.
Chaim Shalom Imenu Nasat Lo Yom Elavad.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Chaim Shalom Imcha. It's a Gemara. Nasata Lo Yom Elavad. Remember we learned this year. I mean, you don't come to the shul except if they're special, but we had a couple special ones on this. When we looked Mini Melech, right? David HaMelech is about Nafle. David HaMelech is supposed to pass away in childbirth. Das steht in the Gemara. And there's a whole. We discussed it in the Shurim, how in Alapi Chasidus. And David HaMelech had to get years from Adam Rishon, and then he had to get years from Avraham, Yaakov, and Yosef. So the Rebbe brings that Kolshkim Kalchem, and Mashiach is also Banaf. Mashiach should really not be able to be born. Because such a big neshama, whose whole Inyan is bittul, that's what Malchus is, has no years. So Mashiach shouldn't exist. The only problem is with Eibush needs Mashiach. So Chaim Shom Imcha. That means that Mashiach Tzedkenu asks the Eibush for years, Nasatalei, and you gave him Oirech Yomim Oilam Vod. You gave him Arichas Yomim. How much is Arichas Yomim Oilam Vod? As a Leb Mebik. The Mashiach should live forever. Chaim Shalom Emcha. So Chaim Heppenheimer says, Chaim Shalom Emcha, that the Eibush, the Mashiach asks for Chaim Heppenheimer, and the Eibush gave him Chaim. L'chaim v'levracha Chaim, wherever you are, I can just see your hat. Anyway, so Eibush gives Mashiach years. Eibush gives him Yordan. Eibush gives him years. Always find the Kavana b'Pel Mamish. So every one of us was given years, and that's the lesson. Good evening, Helike Kinder, Menachem Mendel, Zalmi, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem. The Eibush gives us years, right? And we got to use them for good things. Chaim Shalom Emcha. We asked the Eibush for Arichas Yomim V'Shonim, and the Eibush gives us Eirech Yomim. The Eibush gives us Eilam Vod. And we have to use it for gesunte Sachen, for freiliche Sachen. So I give you all brachas, l'chaim v'levracha. We should all grow up. I told you in class, Rabbi Yosef, some avort, that my father told this to me. My father soll sagen, ist nicht stark. Sometimes is very involved in Shalom Bayis. So he told me that there was a couple that he knew who the Rebbe was their therapist. The Rebbe was their referee. Whenever they had a fight, each one would write to the Rebbe how the other one is no good. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? A man and a woman, every time they had a fight, each one wrote to the Rebbe to make sure that the Rebbe understood that the other guy was a mamzer, a husband and a wife. So they got once from the Rebbe a meine, an answer, to each separate. Asker alatziin, I'm going to mention them by the oyel, sheyiyu shneihem yoiser matur. Sheyiyu shneihem yoiser matur. That each one should be more mature. Verstehst? Anyway, so I'm giving you all a bracha. Sheyiyu kulanu yoiser matur. First meant matur, that we should use the time that the Eibusha gives us in a constructive and a productive and a Yiddish way, in a meaningful way. We should be grown-ups and not children. We should embrace the avodas Hashem that the Eibusha gave us and not see it as chas v'shalom depriving us of some senseless fun that we think is so very, very important. And as Chassidim say, we should satisfy the Eibusha's ratzon and satisfy our own ratzon amiti. And we should be zeichet to the Gula Shlema. That's what it is all about. Everybody's got a job. All you got to do is your job. That's all you have to do. All you got to do is your job. It's a famous word that the Rebbe Zusha Hanapala said that when I come to the Bezdin Shalmaila, no one's going to have any tightness to me. How come I wasn't Avraham Avinu? But boy, are they going to have tightness to me. How come I wasn't Zusha? So each one of us has to be our own Zusha. If a gesunter Neufen und a freiliche Neufen, a gebencht Neufen, a lichtige Neufen, a guten Neufen. But you can't get away from it. Your guy told me to tamen. No pain, no gain. That's the way it goes. No pain or gain. You go to a gym and you lift weights, but you don't want to sweat. So you don't put any weights on the bars. You're picking up a bar that weighs 2 pounds. Yeah. What happens? Nothing happens. You don't sweat. You don't develop muscles. You put weights on the bar and it's hard and you have to exert yourself and you lift them up. So something happens. And if it's true this way about lifting physical weights in life and in Avodas Hashem, this is so true. Right? That's how it is. Right? The person, you want to learn, it's hard. Okay? Here's the Ma'aseh in Tzemach Tzedek. Someone came to the Tzemach Tzedek and says, Rebbe, what should I do? I don't want to learn. So the Tzemach Tzedek looked at him and says to him, so what should I do? I do want to learn. In other words, you have it hard. But hard is good. You can overcome your Yetzer Hara. I have it easy. Which is not good, because a person is supposed to be misyagea. Your guy too much asatami. Okay, l'chaim v'levrach, everybody. L'chaim. L'chaim, everybody. L'chaim v'levrach. The Eibusha mentioned in Zalman. The Lord's game from them goes. We should all meet together with Sefer Smachas. No more quarantine. No more isolation. No more isolation. We should get together and we should Farbrengen and we should hug and we should kiss and we should dance in a circle and we should hold hands and we shouldn't have to have distance. There should be kiruv and ava v'yachva, the way it's supposed to be. L'chaim. L'chaim v'levrach. I'm drinking seltzer, by the way, so you can also drink a little seltzer if I'm bringing l'chaim. So what are we going to talk about? So anybody, you have a maimer chassidus? Mati, you have a maimer? Chaim, you have something to say? The birthday boys.
I'm going to chazer one tomorrow for Shabbos, but I don't have one now.
So I gave you a good one. You started to prepare one or not?
Not yet.
So then take the Likutei Torah. It's really very short.
Okay.
Bamidbar. It's like Daf Gimel Amid Alf. It's right in the beginning of Bamidbar. Sorry?
My Bar Mitzvah Parsha also, so it's perfect.
But the Kriyas HaTorah is very long. It's Kufn and Test, one of the longest pashas in the whole Chumash, I think, right?
I had an argument. Yep, when I was Bar Mitzvah, I had an argument with my friend who's Parshas Noach, who's his harder, who's his long. So
he wins hands down as a chayil. Kasluchim and Pasrusim and Naftuchim and Kaftoirim and Plishtim and Lohovim. It's not even close. I mean, the words of Pasha Midbar, the same thing over and over again. Nachamal and Nachamal and Nachamal. Let me ask you a question, Mati. Your mitzvah Pasha. Are there any mitzvahs in Pashas Bamidbar?
Wasn't it a mitzvah to count the
Are there
Jews?
any mitzvah from the Taryag mitzvahs in Parshas Bamidbar?
Not machatzis a shekel, right?
No.
No. I
Machzah
don't think
shekel is in Parshas Kisisa.
So. Yisista.
So are there any mitzvahs in Parshas Bamidbar?
Not that I remember. But it's a trick question, so the answer is probably yes.
Obviously, yeah. It was the tenants. Pidyon haben. Pidyon haben. You're the oldest in your family, Mustama, yeah? You're oldest in your family.
Oldest boy, but I have two older sisters.
So you didn't have a pidyon haben. In this week's Parsha, you have pidyon haben.
Which Aliyah?
Today's chitas. Today's chitas. Today's chitas, huh? No, not today's chitas. Today was the Levium. I guess today saw. They counted it's Rashi brings at the end. It's really tomorrow's, I guess. Pidyon haben. This is Parshas is one mitzvah. Pidyon haben. That says pidyon haben. You have her in Parshas boy, and mistama the money on mitzvahs counted over there. Yeah.
According to Sefer Chinuch, I just checked. Yeah, it's not in Bamidbar.
He counts it in boy, mistama. Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah. But the Chomesh Sloyim, the Peratim of Pidyon haben, you don't have in Parshas Boy. The Shir of Pidyon haben is only in our Parsha. How much you have to give a Pidyon haben is not in Parshas Boy. It's only in our Parsha. Parshas Bamidbar. Does anybody want to share something? Epizag avort, a good joke, a latzonis, a lashon hara, meitzi shemra, a rechilos, something good. Hey, lechrachol. Man, we're looking for good material. Epis. There was a Yid in Lubavitch, you guys don't remember. His name was Meir Anis. Meir Anis was a Chassidish Yid. He's a real character. But he always carried around a good piece of lashon hara about Misnagdim. He always had something, a new story, Epis. And when he would come around, he would say, "Oh, I got a new piece of news." This was his thing. He had to share. He was part of the 4:00 in the afternoon minyan, not for minche. But he was a good Jew. He's a beautiful, beautiful Yid. Nushnei, I have nothing to say. Huh? Epis avort, Erev Shavuos. The Chodesh Sivan is coming. Okay, here's a trivia question. Okay, Chaim, you're the only one who can't answer because you know the answer for sure. What's going to be different about Shabbos, this Shabbos, Mevarchim, from all other Shabbos Mevarchims, and why? What's going to be different about this? Very good. Why do you say Barachman?
And many people died, no?
Many people died in a lot of months. Chodesh Av, you don't say Barachman. Shabbos Mevarchim Av, you don't say Barachman. Shabbos Mevarchim Sivan, you do say Barachman. And the Teretz...
Shabbos Mevarchim Tishrei Yasidu, but technically it's not Shabbos Mevarchim.
Shabbos Mevarchim Tishrei, you say Barachman? Are you sure? Because you're not Mevarach as a Chodesh. You're not Mevarach as a Chodesh.
Yeah.
The Eibush is Mevarach as a Chodesh. Point well taken.
There has a sikha on this, no? The real reason
why
we say Avarachman.
I'm listening. Talk to me.
I learned it 2 years ago. I don't really remember.
Why you say Avarachman Chodesh Sivan or Chodesh Tishrei?
Sivan.
Oh, I don't know about the sikha. Where's the sikha? Tavshin and Aleph, Pashas Baleischa.
I think it was in Sefer Sikha Mem Zayin, I think, or Mem Ches.
Yeah. Ich weiß nicht. I don't know the sikha. I have to look. If you can remember where it is, I'd like to look it up. The reason Avarachman is is psukim, and Avarachman was compiled to say because of Yiddish Tzaddis. How long?
It was because of the Crusades mainly.
The Messiah said Slav. It started with the Crusade, yeah. The first Crusade, which was not Titnu, Xedas Titnu, which took place during Rashi's lifetime, took place in Sivan. There's Chedesh Sivan and Gimel Sivan and Shavuos. They wiped out 3 Kehilas Kadishas B'Yisrael. It took place in the beginning of Sivan. It was said because of the Crusades, and it was also said because of Tach V'Tat. So this is the reason in Chedesh Sivan we say Varachmim, because it was the tefillah was put into the Siddur because of the Kehilas HaKedesh, holy communities, Shemosru Nafsham Al Kedushas Hashem. That they were made nefesh HaKedesh Hashem, V'Na'ovim, V'Na'iyim, B'Chayeyim, V'Meisam Le'Nefrodim, V'Neshodim Kalu, Ma'arayim Gavedu, lots of the same Kedem. You know, Avarachim is a prayer. If we only paid attention to the words, it would be an under Yiskerem Alkeinu L'Teva, V'Yin Keim Nikmas Dam V'Decha Shofach. It's a very powerful tefillah of Avarachim. And the Chedesh Sivan we say it. So we could spin Zalman. I don't know what the Rebbe says in Natziche, but you could spin it the other way. That the reason we say Avarachim Bepashta is because this month is a month of a lot of tzaras. Sivan is a month of a lot of tzaras. I once met a Misnagid who said that, you have to say Avarachim. I said, but it doesn't say in Siddur. He says, the Koshkim Makavachem, and Madoch Chedesh Sivan, you say Avarachim. Shas Avarachim all in the base. Hamikdash was destroyed, and all the tzaras happened, you should for sure say Avarachim. Anyway, so he said Avarachim, and then later on he said, no, it said, Mishnah Berurah, it says only Chedesh Sivan. So there's another spin. That before you get the Torah, you want to remind the Eibishter of Mesiras Nefesh. In other words, the official reason, the external reason, the nigla reason, why you say Avarachamim is because it's a month of a lot of tzaris, and this tefillah was introduced specifically. This tefillah was introduced specifically because of the Masayis Hatzlav. It's called the Crusades, and the Masayis Hatzlav happened in Chedesh Sivan. The first crusade happened in Chedesh Sivan. At least, obviously, a part of the Ritziches that they did. But the Pnimiyah says, before you get a Torah from the Eibishter, you want to remind the Eibishter of the Inyan of Mesiras Nefesh HaKiddush Hashem. The Eibishter is giving us the Torah. Yidden have paid the ultimate price for the Torah. Yidden have paid a very, very, very high price for the Torah. Erev Matan Torah, you mentioned even Kiddush Hashem. Just like Yom Kippur, you mentioned Mesiras Nefesh HaKiddush Hashem. So the Shabbos before Shavuos, Shabbos Avarachim, is this year's the Shabbos before Shavuos. It's not always, but this year, Shabbos before Shavuos, you mentioned the Mesiras Nefesh HaKiddush Hashem. Okay, one more question. One more trivia question. This one's hard. Chaim, you can answer it also, okay? The days we are currently in have a distinction. From Chof Iyar till Reish Chodesh Sivan, have a distinction that none of the other days of the year have. What is that? From Chof Iyar to 10 days, or 9 days, no, 10 days. Chof Iyar till Chof Tes Iyar have a property of a quality that no other day of the year has. Anybody know?
I mean, obviously, there's a mitzvah every day.
Fair to say amen. Yeah, but what do these 10 days have that none of the other days of the year have? And the next question is going to be, what's the lesson from it?
Does that have to do with which sphere each of the days are?
No, not to do with Sfira at all. The answer...
Can you say the question again?
Yeah. The 10 days from Chof Iyar to Rosh Chodesh Sivan have something that not any other day of the year has. What is that? It's very hard to get. It's the only 10 days that we were not by Har Sinai. We spent a whole year by Har Sinai, and we left 10 days before we arrived. We arrived at Rosh Chodesh Sivan, and we left Chof Iyar the next year. So these 10 days, the 10 days from Chof Iyar to Rosh Chodesh Sivan, are the only 10 days that we don't have the Inyan of Har Sinai. So what's the lesson? Huh? So what's the lesson? You're supposed to go away from Har Sinai and be a Yid. That's the lesson. You're supposed to go away from Har Sinai and be a Yid. That's the lesson. Okay, l'chaim, everybody. L'chaim, l'chaim. Keep drinking seltzer and looking for things to talk about. Go ahead, talk. Someone say something. Somebody say something useful. Maybe the Farbrengen will go someplace.
Oh, I found a sifcha that what's the name was talking about before. I think about why we say Avarachman and Shabbos and Vacham Sivan. It's Behar Kaisai Tavshem Mem Gimel.
It's Muga or not Muga?
It's Muga. It's in Sixth in English. In fact.
How did you find it?
Chabad.org.
He said, Zalman said it was Mem Zayin and Mem Ches. Tavshin Mem Gimel. I had the books here.
And that's what I found, at least. It's possible that there was another one other years, but this is what I found in Mem Gimel.
Behar B'chokesai. You know what the tragedy is? I was at that Farbrengen. So how come I don't remember? How come I don't remember?
Chafia could have been the day of the Geula Shlema.
Tell me. Right? Chafir, Chabezia, that's right.
I'm saying they could have went straight from High Sinai to Eretz Yisrael.
That's right. You said Bahar B'chukaisai. I'm looking at Bamidbar. Bahar B'chukaisai. Lama kukta. Yeah. Leave it to the Rebbe. If you're going to sing louder enough for us to know what you're singing so we can sing with you. The way the singing words, we all compete. Who can sing louder, who can make up more space on the electronic medium. Zog Adigin, don't be afraid. Said, go on your sign. nafshi choday, oy nafshi choday, v'tel yodecho, lo dodecho, oy nafshi choday, oy lo lo do 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 yo do oh do do do. So now goes hey tzama tzama tzama. Shalom Aleichem Rabbi Yosef. Tzama lecha wa 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 na v'shei kama 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 lecha b'sari. Ya da di da da la 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 da 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 la 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 da da la la da da la 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 da 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 di da di da dam. Ya la da la da da di da da la 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 da da la 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 da da la 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 da da la la da da la 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 da 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 di da di da da na ya na da na di da di da da na mai la da la 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 da da na da da la la da da la 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 da na 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 ya da di da da na 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 ya da 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 di da di da da na nam ya la da la 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 da da la 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 da 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 di da di da dam ya na da na da da di da na ya na da da na ya da 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 na ya da 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 ya da da na ya da 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 di da dam Chaim Chaim. We're going to talk about that. I need if someone has a good piece of Lashon Hara, we could build from this episode. nothing, no juicy stuff, huh? In quarantine, it's boring. They tell a story. It's just, I guess it's a segue. It's a way to start. I think the Rebbe tells the story, but it's a story which is known by Chassidim. The Frierdiker Rebbe had a secretary. His name was Reb Chatzah Fegen. Reb Chatzah, Yecheskel Fegen. Reb Chatzah Fegen. Reb Chatzah was killed by the Nazis in Riga in 1942. He ran away from Poland together with the Frierdiker Rebbe to Riga, and he couldn't get out of Riga, and he was killed. The Frierdiker went on to Stockholm, and he was killed. Yimach was from the Nazis. Chatzah was a big chassid. He was the Frierdiker's personal secretary. He worked very, very hard. He mamish never day. He worked day and night. His job was non-stop. And he was the Frierdiker's right-hand man. So everything that the Yonah, the Rebbe, was involved with, so he was automatically involved as the Rebbe's right hand. So he went into Frierdiker many times a day, like any secretary, for all kinds of things, all kinds of reasons. So after Shavuos, he went into the Frierdiker Rebbe to discuss business, whatever it was, business. I mean, Frierdiker had a lot of business, yeah? There was so many tzaddas. There was Russian Jews, and there was Polish Jews, and there was American tzaddas. Frierdiker Rebbe. So he went to the Frierdiker Rebbe to discuss something. And when he came in and he started talking about these inyanim, the Frierdiker Rebbe said, "Was willst du von mir? Ich bin noch nicht herabgegangen vom Berg." That's the story. What do you want from me? I haven't even come down from the mountain yet. Was willst du von mir? Ich bin noch nicht herabgegangen vom Berg. The Frierdiker Rebbe says to him, "Shavuos, go up to the mountain. I didn't come down yet. So give me a chance. I didn't come down yet. Ich bin noch nicht herabgegangen vom Berg." I saw in the Rebbe's Rishimis that 1 year after Shavuos, the Frierdiker Rebbe told the Art Rebbe, "Hab noch nicht a viel getracht wegen sagen Ticken." He said, I didn't even think about saying Ticken yet. The Frierdiker Rebbe was so busy. Because Shavuos, by the Rabbeim in Chabad, there were 3 Maimorim. 3. The first night of Shavuos, the second night of Shavuos, the Motzei Shavuos. plus the Farbrengen. So the Frierdiker was very busy. So the Frierdiker told the Rebbe, after Shavuos, I didn't even start thinking about saying Tikkun. I didn't even think about saying Tikkun. But by the Rabbeim, everything by the Rabbeim happens for real. When it comes Shavuos, you go up a mountain, come down from the mountain. So let's talk about Shavuos, talk about Matan Torah. Right? Talk about Shavuos, talk about Matan Torah. The first thing that you have to know about Matan Torah, is that you got to learn it, right? Before you get fancy, before you get esoteric and mystical and kabbalistic and lofty, there's Poshet Pshat. Torah daf man lernen. You have to learn Torah. Rabbi Leibel Shapiro from Florida said once in a tape that the Rebbe told him in a Yechidus, du sollst lernen Torah bis über den Kopf. That was Rebbe's expression. You should learn Torah till it's over your head. Torah daf man bis über den Kopf, till it's mamish over your head. On Torah is no limit. Torah is supposed to learn non-stop, but there's one thing about Torah, which I think is in your kapitel Yotes Chaim. You know what that is? Let me see before I talk. Yep, it is. Pekudei Hashem Yishorim Esamche Lev. Torah you're supposed to enjoy. Torah you're supposed to enjoy so much that when it comes Tisha B'Av, they tell you you're not allowed to learn because you're not allowed to have simcha. As a din Shulchan Aruch. Why are you allowed to learn Torah Tisha B'Av? Because your Torah makes you happy. I know a couple of people who wait a whole year for Tisha B'Av. They shouldn't be able to bittul Torah. Should be bittul Torah beheter, because they don't enjoy Torah so much. Torah darf man lernen, hat man Geschmack. Torah you have to learn. Every minute that a person has to be used, has to be filled with divrei Torah. But it's very important that mitzvahs, Kabbalah say. Mitzvahs, because Hashem said. Torah you gotta love. Torah you gotta enjoy. And that's what the Gemara says about Torah, that you're supposed to learn b'makom sheli b'chafetz le'elam yilmad adam b'makom sheli b'chafetz. Torah you're supposed to learn what you like. You like Nigla and Nigla, like Chassidus, you like Chassidus. You like Tanakh and Tanakh. You like Halacha and Halacha. A person should learn the part of Torah which gives him chayfetz, gives him a geschmack, because then you'll learn it better and you'll understand it better and you'll become more one with the Eibusha. The Rebbe says if you learn Torah, you don't enjoy it, it's a chassaron in your understanding. It's not possible for a person to truly understand. I give you a dugma, a Tosfos. Tosfos is hard, and not to enjoy it, not to get joy from it. If you learned the Tosfos and you understood it, and you're nervous, it's a simmer, you didn't understand it completely. Because when you learn Torah, the first thing you have to know about Torah is you have to have in it a geschmack. Torah, you're supposed to enjoy Torah. You're supposed to have a yagiyah b'Torah. You're supposed to have a chelik in Torah, and you're supposed to have simcha in Torah. It's very, very, very important. And that's part of Shavuos, right? That's what the Gemara says. What does the Gemara say? The Gemara says Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi ben Hurkenes, and Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya. They were they were very good friends, but they were very different backgrounds. Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya, before he was born, his mother was planning that he should be a ben Torah. Rabbi ben Hurkenes, his parents were rich. The Torah's for losers. We're the supporters of Torah. And Rabbi ben Hurkenes did not want to be a supporter of Torah. He wanted to learn the Torah. So he ran away from home. There's a sefer called Pirkei de Rabbi Lezer that tells the story of Rabbi ben Hurkenes. He ran away and he went to learn Torah. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yeshua, be sure what you do on Yom Tif. Because Yom Tif is a time of joy, simcha, v'samachta b'chagecha. And the joy of Yom Tif is you eat meat, you drink wine. Times of the Beis Hamikdash they ate meat. Today it's ein simcha. I think now it's ein simcha b'basa, right? Who knows? In the times of the Beis Hamikdash, it's ein simcha b'basa, simcha b'yayin. Now it's ein simcha b'yayin. There's no carbon. It's simcha b'yayin, yeah. So you can eat meat and drink wine and have simcha, yeah. But you can also sit in shalom daven and learn. So Rabbi Eliezer says you could do either kulil Hashem or kulil Lachem. You have two choices. Yom Tiv, you could either do all for God or all for you. You have a choice. And Rabbi Yeshua says, Chatzi L'Hashem and Chatzi L'Lachem. Half is for you and half is for God. And that's the halacha. That's why the din is, you would never know it. In Lubavitch, Al Pi Din Teira, you're supposed to finish davening Musaf on Yom Tov before Chatzos. The truth is even Shabbos, but Yom Tov for sure. You're supposed to finish davening before Chatzos. So until midday you're in shul, and after midday you go home and you eat and you drink and you have joy. Yeah? When it comes to Shavuos, there's no machlekes. When it comes to Pesach, when it comes to Sukkot, when it comes to Shmini Atzeres, so Eliezer says either Kulil Hashem or Kulil Lachem. Rabbi Yeshua says Chesil Lachem, Chesil Hashem. When it comes to Shavuos, Kula Alma, the Be'inin Nami Lachem. Even according to Rabbi Eliezer, the Iman Nami Lachem. And by the way, the Rebbe once said that the words Be'inin Nami Lachem is Begematria Ketz, I think. Right? Does it work? Nami, right? Nami Lachem Matria Ketz. Be'inin Nami Lachem is even Mashiach. Shavuos, even according to the Shita that says that it can be Kul Hashem, Kul Lachem. Shavuos, you have to eat meat and drink wine. You have to celebrate Torah. You're supposed to have joy of Torah. And this is real. In other words, it's serious and it's hard and it's important. We all have to develop not learn Torah, a pleasure in learning Torah. Mitzvahs, you don't got to enjoy, you got to do them. Torah, you have to enjoy. So you're going to say to me, I don't enjoy Torah. So I'm going to say to you, Torah has many choices. And you can pick which part of the Torah you want to enjoy. And by the way, you can even learn an English Torah, right? Today you have literally hundreds, possibly thousands of Sfarim, including the whole Shas, in English. And a lot of Sfarim that are easier than the Gemara, that you could push it, learn Torah. You could learn, it could be a big, big Talmud Chacham, and not know a word of Hebrew or Aramaic. Mamish, Kipshute. But you got to have a part of Torah, which is yours, that you get pleasure from, that you learn, and you don't learn it with a Kabbalah say, you learn it with a Simcha. This is the first inyan of Shavuos. The first inyan of Shavuos is the inyan from Simcha. The Rebbe used to say all the time that Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yossi from the Tanoim, Rabbi Yossi from the Amiroim. Chaim, help me. Rabbi Yosef, right? Rabbi Yosef from the Amiroim used to say that on Shavuos, which Rabbi Yossi? Rabbi Yossi used to say that on Shavuos he used to... Huh?
Rabbi Yossi is always going to be a Tanner. Rabbi Yosef is always going to be an Amora.
So he said, what did he say? He said, "Ilav hayem de kagorim kama Yossi ike b'shuker." It's Rabbi Yossi, the Tanner Rabbi Yossi. Yeah, huh?
I believe it's Rabbi Yosef the Amora.
The Amora. He said, "Ilav hayem, if not for sure, in the street there's many Yosefs, and without the Torah, there's no difference between me and any of the other Yosefs. With the Torah, there's a huge difference between all the other Yosefs." Verstehst? So Hayem de Kagorim, Shavuos is the day that makes us different than all the other Yosefs. And I'm going to say, it's not just that the difference between all the other Yosefs and this Yosef, because of Shavuos that they learn Torah, but the difference between this Yosef and all the other Yosefs, because of Shavuos, is you learn Torah with joy. And gerade there's a Maise, Takabara Yosef, Ilav hayem with the kagorim kama Yosef ike b'shuker. It's tamazay a Maise, but it's a story about Yosef. You know the story? You know what story I'm talking about? Huh? You know the story or not? I'm asking you a question. You know the story or not? Mati, you know the story? You know the story is that the Friedrich Rebbe, when he was a child, used to learn Mishnayos Baal Peh. His name was also Yosef. His father told Mishnayos Baal Peh. There was a Seder by the Rabbeim that before Bar Mitzvah, he used to Chaz Baal Peh, Shas Mishnayos Baal Peh, the whole Shas Mishnayos. And if you came as a child, Mishnayos Baal Peh. Until a certain age, you learned only 5 Sedarim, and then after a certain age, you also learned Taris. So, there's a whole story. When he was 11 years old, he got into a fight with a policeman. You know, the Friedrich was a troublemaker, the fight with a policeman. Because the policeman accused a Yid of stealing a calf. The Friedrich Rebbe knew that he hadn't stolen it because the Friedrich Rebbe had given him the money to buy the calf. So when the policeman accused this man of stealing the calf, the Friedrich Rebbe physically attacked him, and they threw him in jail. The Friedrich Rebbe was thrown in jail, and the jail that they threw him in was totally dark. There was zero light. There were no windows. It was really dark. It was dark, dark, dark. It was pitch black. So the Frierdiker was sitting in jail. He was 11 years old. He was afraid. So he thought to himself, what am I going to do? He says, I know Mishnayos Baal Peh. He starts saying Mishnayos Baal Peh. He sat in that cell for 2 hours. The Frierdiker Rebbe writes about himself, he could say a whole Seder of Mishnah. In under an hour. He had a very good chituch. He was a child. He could speak very fast. He could say a whole Seder of Mishnayos in under an hour. The Frierdiker Rebbe tells stories as a kid how he had competitions with big chassidim who could say Mishnayos Baal Peh faster. The Frierdiker Rebbe would say Seder Mishnayos in under an hour. Very, very fast. So in 2 hours, he could have learned through a third of Shas. So he's sitting in this cell and he's learning Mishnayos Baal Peh. And all of a sudden he hears a sound. It was very dark. He was very afraid as it was. And nach to the two, he hears a sound. So he happened to have matches in his pocket. What's your name? Moshe, what's your name? What's your full name?
Moshe Yaakov.
Moshe Yaakov. So why do I say Chaim?
My father's name.
Your father's name is Chaim,
Chaim
that's right?
Yitzchak, yeah.
Yep. Your father's one of my elder Bachrim. He's one of the people I looked at and said, that's how a Lubavitcher Bach has to look. He used to sit and learn.
Yeah.
So edel, so sweet. That I'm not. That'll never be. But his mother. Anyway, so the Frierdiker Rebbe remembered that he had matches in his pocket. So he took out the matches and he struck a match and he saw that his cellmate was a cow. And the cow was tied up and was wearing a muzzle. A muffler shouldn't make any noise. Because what happened was the policeman had stolen a calf and he wanted to blame the Yid for stealing his calf so he should be able to keep the one that he stole. That was the accusation. So eventually the Frierdiker Rebbe's father was the Rebbe Rashab, sent his Mishoris. He went to the police station, they took him out of jail, the police chief apologized. And the Frierdiker Rebbe says, before I go home, I got to tell you, there's another prisoner in my cell that doesn't usually belong in jail. And he tells the police chief that the cow is sitting in jail, and then that's how they caught the policeman, and he ended up in jail. Anyway, he comes home. When he came home, his father, the Rebbe Rashab, was very proud of him. Why? Because he went to jail, so another Yid, to stick up for another Yid. So when he came home, his father was very happy to see him. And then after it was all quiet, his father says to him, and what were you doing in jail? What were you doing in jail? So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, I was chazering Mishnayos Baal Peh. So the Rebbe Rashab got very excited. And the Rebbe Rashab says, Zest, you see? He says, you were sitting in jail and the cow was sitting in jail. If you had wasted your time, what would have been the difference between you and the cow? But because you were saying Mishnayos, there's a difference in you and the calf. The calf was sitting in jail and sitting there, and you were sitting in jail and you were learning Mishnayos Baal Peh. Verstehst? But again, I think when the Gemara says Kama Yosef Ike B'Shukad, it's not just that Yosef learned Torah, but that Yosef learned Torah M'tech Simcha V'tov Levav. Torah, you have to have a Geshmak. That's the first rule. If you learn Torah, you don't enjoy it, you don't understand it. Memes. It's not shaykh as a person to learn Torah and truly, truly understand it, and it shouldn't delight him. It has to delight him. And that's you have to learn. Just learn Torah with Geshmak. That's the first dimension of Limud Torah. Then, of course, there's higher dimensions of Limud Torah. But this is number one. Numero uno, you're supposed to pick your favorite part of Torah, and that's what your koch is. Whatever you enjoy, that's what you should learn. And Hashem will help. You should psichas halev and psichas hamoyach. The mind should open, the heart should open. The Torah should go in and it should stay there, right? It doesn't look at the Torah in Pashas Kedoshim on the Pasuk. For Adat Pnei Zokin, why do you have to get up for a Talmud Chacham? So the Alter Rebbe writes, because the Talmud Chacham has Torah in Me'ach HaZikon. Even if he's right now not learning Torah, but in his memory there's Torah, which is called Chachma. Adat Pnei Zokin says Chachma. So since he has Torah in his memory, you're standing up for the Torah, even though at this particular moment he's not learning Torah, because Torah is in his mind. Okay, so that's the first idea, right? The first idea of Limud Torah is Torah darf man lernen, und in Torah darf man Geschmack. That's number one. What's number two? L'chaim. L'chaim, everybody. L'chaim. L'chaim. What's number two? I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story. There is a very, very special, precious Jew in Lubavitch. Really special and precious. His name is Rabbi Moshe Feller. Rabbi Feller is older than my father. He's in his 80s. Rabbi Feller was one of the first shluchim. The Rebbe sent it to Minnesota in 1961 or 62, a long, long time ago. Rabbi Feller was once very successful. Chabad in Minnesota was a very successful Chabad. He used to make big dinners, he would bring big speakers, like Ganze Meise. There was a man who recently passed away, last few years, lived till over 100. His name was Herman Wouk, Mr. Herman Wouk. Herman Wouk was a novelist. He wrote stories, he wrote books. He was a very successful man. His novels were translated to many languages. He sold millions of copies. He was on the New York Times bestseller list. Herman Wouk was a very successful man. And he was frum. He was a Shemesh Shabbos, Eichel Kosher. I was in Palm Springs 35 years ago. Herman Wouk was giving a sheet in Daf Hayemi. Can you imagine? Herman Wouk giving Daf Hayemi. Herman Wouk lived a lot of time in Washington, D.C., in a house in Washington. There was a period of time that Herman Wouk was very close to Lubavitch. Why? Because Richard Nixon, the then president of the United States, had asked Mr. Wouk, Herman Wouk, to bring his personal greetings to the Rebbe for Shnas L'Shivim, for his 70th birthday. He came to the Farbrengen as representative of Mr. Nixon, of the president at that time, to give the Rebbe a happy birthday. And he had a yechidus with the Rebbe, became very connected to the Rebbe, Mr. Wouk did. And as a consequence of this, he became, one of the Chabad people. So there were not that many Chabad houses in the 1970s. They used to make dinners. And for a dinner, you have to have a guest speaker. So Herman Wouk was on the short list of what do they call it? Keynote speakers at Chabad dinners. Every Chabad house, you took in the 1970s, how many Chabad houses were there? A dozen. Every Chabad house in America brought him. And he was sick and tired of speaking at Chabad functions. Rabbi Feller calls him up, it was the mid-70s, or early 70s, mid-70s, and says, Mr. Wouk, I'd like you to speak at the Chabad dinner in Minnesota. So he had to play hardball. He said, I'll tell you what. I will speak at the Chabad dinner in Minnesota if you get me back to Washington, D.C. by midnight. Now, there's no flights from Minnesota east at night. It's the middle of America. There's no red eye, From California, there's a red eye. I already know. You should know. If I travel to California, I can get home faster than if I travel to Florida or to Boston, because there's no night flights. Boston, yeah, but anyway, Minnesota to Washington, there's no flights. So a feller says, okay, I can't get him back to Washington, D.C. by midnight. He can't have him to dinner. In those days, a feller had some very, very rich balabatim. And one of these rich balabatim owned a private jet. So a feller calls him up, and he says to him, I have a situation. I want Mr. Wouk, Herman Wouk, to come and be the keynote speaker at the dinner, but the condition is I have to get him back to Washington by midnight. You think you can help me out? He says, sure. I have an airport in Washington, D.C., and we'll drop him off in Washington, D.C. And he says to Rabbi Feller, I'm going to meet by the dinner. And after the dinner, we'll fly east. We'll drop him off in Washington. And then we're going to fly. He had himself a house in New Jersey. So then we're going to fly to Washington and drop off Mr. Wouk at the airport in Washington, D.C. It wasn't called Reagan International Airport in those days. It was probably the National Airport. And then you fly into New Jersey. Anyway, they had a dinner. The dinner was very successful. A lot of people came. It was a big Kiddush Hashem. Mr. Wouk spoke about the Rebbe and about Lubavitch, and so on. Anyway, dinner was over. They got into this. They flew to go to the airport and they say to take this private jet to take Mr. Wouk back to Washington. So Moshe Feller, I think it was after Purim. It was between Purim and Pesach. Didn't get too many chances to go to the Rebbe. He wasn't allowed to go, and it was expensive. So the guy says, "Listen, I'm flying to Washington. Then I'm flying to New Jersey. Maybe you want to come along?" So I said, "Yeah." See, Rabbi Feller told us the story. He said, I got to tell you, that's the way to fly. You want to fly, you should fly. A private jet, a dos idas, it's them, to fly with a private jet. Anyway, they get on the plane. The three of them, Rabbi Feller, Herman Wouk, and the Yid who owned this jet, they flew to Washington. It's a trip. You have to kick off and you have to land, you know. If you know anything about airports, the flight could be a half an hour, but the trip is 5 hours. 2 hours before and 2 hours after. They dropped them off in Washington and went to Minnesota, New Jersey. They were sitting on a plane. Now, Mr. Wouk was a famous writer. He wrote many books. He was a very famous man. And Rabbi Feller could have spent the time on the plane talking to him about his novels, about his books. But it was after Purim. And he had with himself a small little siddur. So the whole way from Minnesota until Washington, they talked about the Rebbe's Haggadah. The Rebbe's Haggadah, the Rebbe's notes on the Rebbe's Haggadah. They talked about the Rebbe's Haggadah. Anyway, they dropped them off in Washington. They flew on to New Jersey. By the time they landed in New Jersey, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. Rabbi Feller got out of the plane. I'm assuming he took a taxi or a train to 770. He got to 770, it was time at 3:30 in the morning. And the Rebbe is still in 770. It was 90 Yechidus. Rabbi Feller ran to Karastira Mikveh, across the street. Now I want you to understand, he wasn't wearing a kapot, he was wearing a suit. Because he made a dinner. It's like Getevelt. He ran back to 770. He quickly wrote a note telling the Rebbe about the dinner, and he ran in. Rabbi Chadakov was walking down the hall. In those days, this is before my time, in 770 there was a Matbea Ma'aleches. There was a quotable quote. And the Matbea Ma'aleches was, did Rabbi Chadakov go to the Rebbe yet? The business day in 770 ended when Rabbi Chadakov went into the Rebbe at the end of the day. He used to bring into the Rebbe the last mail. The newest letters for brachas. If Rabbi Chadakov already went to the Rebbe, the day was over, you had to wait till the next day. Rabbi Feller runs to 770 with his zettel, and Rabbi Chadakov was walking down the hall. Rabbi Feller runs up to Rabbi Chadakov. Rabbi Chadakov was his boss. And he puts on top of Rabbi Chadakov's pile, he was holding a bunch of papers, the letter for the Rebbe. And Rabbi Chadakov walks into the Rebbe with all the mail to give the Rebbe. And usually what would happen is Rabbi Chadakov would stay by the Rebbe for a few minutes, then he would go out, and then a few minutes later the Rebbe would come out, and Rabbi Chadakov and the Rebbe used to go home together. That was the Seder. At night, Rabbi Chadakov and the Rebbe would go home together. In the earlier years, they would actually walk home, and the later years, they would drive home. And the Yudel Krinsky would first drive the Rebbe, of course, to the Rebbe's house, and then drop the Rabbi Chadakov on Crown Street. Rabbi Chadakov walks into the Rebbe. 60 seconds later, Chadakov walks out, and he says to Moshe Feller, the Rebbe wants to see you. Rabbi Feller was not prepared for Yechidus. He was not in that space. He had Merachonis. But the Rebbe wants to see you. Anyway, he walks into the Rebbe. He's wearing a short jacket with a tie. It's not how a chosser is into a Rebbe. But the Rebbe called. He put on his gartel. He walked in. And the Rebbe was in a very good mood. The Rebbe asked him about the dinner and how it went. The Rebbe was very happy to hear all the different things. And then they talked about Mr. Wouk and how his speech, and spoke about the Rebbe, he spoke about Lubavitch, and then finally the Rebbe says to Rabbi Feller, was hat man gerett auf dem plane? The plane was an hour and a half, 2 hours from Minnesota. What do you talk about in the plane? So Rabbi Feller says, you imagine I had spoken to him about the book, about one of his books. So he told the Rebbe, we talked about this before Pesach. We talked about the Rebbe's Haggadah. And the Rebbe had nachas. So I heard that Rabbi Feller once came to Farbrengen Boston Yeshiva in Cheva Veitera. So I heard it from him. Rabbi Feller has his stories that he always tells. In Kfar Chabad magazine, if you ever heard Rabbi Feller Farbrengen, you heard him one time, he has the same stories over and over again. He has his regular Farbrengen that he always says. How he came to Lubavitch, how Yudel Krinsky came to Minnesota to do Merkish Lichas, and how he saw it, and how he wanted to join. A whole story how he became a Lubavitcher. He's the Rebbe's first shluchim. Rabbi Feller's the Rebbe's first shluchim. So he was able to tell the Rebbe that on the plane they talked about the Rebbe's Haggadah, and the Rebbe was happy. So when Rabbi Feller finished the Farbrengen, I turned to the Bochum and I said, I promise you that if Rabbi Feller talked about Mr. Wook's book, the Rebbe would not have asked him the question. When the Rebbe asked him, was hat man gerett auf the plane, hat gewusst Punkt the teretz. You understand? So this is the word. Was hat man gerett auf dem plane? Was hat man gerett auf dem plane? Was hat man gerett auf dem plane? That's the question. Anyway, this is the first Madrega of Torah. The first Madrega of Torah is you got to learn it. and you have to have a geschmack in it. B'kudei Hashem Yishorim Esamcha Lev Teira, you have to have a geschmack. And of course, the second madrega of Teira, this is of course very, very negayat to Shvuas, is like it says in the Medrash, Mocharti lochem es teirasi nimkarti ima. I sold you my Torah, I sold myself along with her. When the Eibusha gave us the Torah, the Eibusha gave us what's called in the Gemara Anochi. Hashem gave us himself. Anochi. Ano, Nafshi. Hashem gave us himself. Okay? And I'll tell you how it plays out. I'll tell you how it plays out. There is a concept in Judaism that nobody except Lubavitch knows about. You hear? There's a concept in Judaism that nobody except Lubavitch knows about. Now the truth is other people know about it, but they don't know that they know about it. Yeah? That concept is called the Hakel. Hakel. It's a concept, it's one of the Tayag mitzvahs. Nobody except Chabad knows about Hakel, because nobody except Chabad does anything about Hakel. The Rebbe made Hakel into such a big deal, you can't no idea. Shnas Hakel, a Meiser and stuff with Hakel. The Rebbe made Hakel into the biggest deal in the world. Does anybody know the meaning of the word Hakel, besides the gathering people together? Does anybody know this is a trick question? This is a Lakut Sichas question. If you know the Rebbe Sichas, you will know the answer to this question. What is the definition of Hakel? You know? Anybody? What is the definition of Hakel? What's the Geder? What's the criteria of Hakel?
Nashim v'tav.
Very good.
You said it last time. You said it last time.
Okay, good. I'm happy you remember. The definition of Hakel is Anoshim, Nashim v'tav. Men, women, and children. And I'll give you a scenario. I'll give you a background, I'll give you a scenario. A long, long time ago, before I was born, the Rebbe used to give Mashke Simchas Teda. When the Rebbe gave Mashke Simchas Teda, there was a condition. He would come downstairs into the shul like 5, 6 in the morning, after the Sudas Yomt, upstairs by the Shviga. And he would say, anybody who was agreeing to learn more Nigla and more Chassidus, he's giving him Mashke. Right? So people would line up, and the Rebbe would give Mashke. They would sing Nigunim, and then of course that's when the Rebbe taught the Nign. Simchas Teda, taught the Nign. The Rebbe would give Mashke and Nign. What happened was, the first year was a small line, the second year was a bigger line, and then people realized that the Rebbe was doing it every year. So people went home, they ate Sudas Yomtiv, they would wake up their kids, schlep up to 7:70, and all get in line. And you had kids 5, 6, 7, 8, and the Rebbe was giving Mashke. And the Rebbe would turn to the child and say, you're going to make an increase in Nigla and Chassidus? The Rebbe was very insulted. The Rebbe felt disrespected. He said he's giving Mashke for a purpose. Kids 7 years old, 8 years old, they're not going to Chassidus. And the Rebbe used to ask them, if you make increase in Chassidus, why are you taking Mashke? Anyway, the Rebbe eventually stopped it. He stopped it because of this. Because people were taking Mashke, they were not going to make increase in Nigla and Chassidus. The Rebbe added, told me that he got online, Tavshachov Daled, and he heard that the Rebbe is asking everybody if they took Mashke last year and if they made an increase last year. So Rabbi Sol told me I got out of the line. I got out of the line. The Rebbe asked, did you make a sofa? Yeah. Did you keep it? Oh, if you didn't keep it, I wouldn't give it. So that was strict. I'm giving Mashke for a purpose. I remember when the Rebbe gave the Kuntris Echolzu. The Rebbe in the last years gave out, the most recent years, he used to give out Kuntresim occasionally. The first Kuntres was Echolzu, was Chav Cheshun Tashmam Ches. Kuntres Echolzu. When the Rebbe gave out the Kuntres Echolzu, he said that you can only take it if you're over 12. Men and women over 12. Why? Because on the 12 you're not Shaychas to Limud Achsidus, so that you couldn't bring a kid. And when the Rebbe gave the Kuntres Echolzu, he said to each one, I got Echolzu from the Rebbe. Ahatzlocha diken learning. Ahatzlocha, he gave you a Kuntres. Ahatzlocha, a successful learning. Ahatzlocha diken learning. He gave each person Ahatzlocha diken learning. But they only gave it to people who the Rebbe felt could learn. On the 12, you're not allowed to come. By the time the Rebbe gave the next Kuntres, which was a while later, there was no restraints. Men, women, and children. What changed? Hakel. What's hakel? Babies. When it comes to Torah learning, it depends how old you are. Are you a Rav? Are you a Pashat Yid? Are you a Mechuyev in Lamed Torah? When it comes to hakel is a noshim of men, women, and children. When the Eibush gave the Torah at Har Sinai, everybody was invited, including babies, newborns. In Chumash, in Pashas V'Eschanon, Matan Torah is called Yom HaKohol, the day of the call, Yom of Hakel. Vos the Gedef and Hakel and Noshim V'Taf. Now, why do you bring a baby 8 days old, 10 days old, 12 days old to Har Sinai? They can't understand anything. And of course, the answer is that what the Eibishter gave us at Har Sinai were all equal. The Eibishter gave us the Torah Har Sinai. The Ikka was not Chochmas HaTorah, the Seichel HaTorah. The Ikka was the Elokus of Torah. Hashem gave us Himself. Fakir, the Torah Hashem gave Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu taught us the Torah. Ma'amad Har Sinai, when Hashem stood on the mountain, and He said, I always tell you this, right? Does anyone notice a trivia question? Chavre, Moshe Yankov don't answer this time, yeah? What is the rai that the Eibush is a chosid, not a misnagid? I have a feidish raya that the Eibush is a chsidish Rosh Hashiva and not a Litvish Rosh Hashiva. I mean it. What's the raya? Does anyone know the answer to that question? Huh? What's the raya? The Eibush is a chsidish Rosh Hashiva is not Litvish Rosh Hashiva. Nobody knows. The Teretz says the Eibush gave a shir and didn't say a single chiddush. Not one chiddush. Hashem said Aseres HaDibris. Each one of the Aseres HaDibris we had from before. Most of the Aseres HaDibris, the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Neach, and the few that weren't, Kibbud Avayim and Shabbos, were given in Morah. So all the Aseres HaDibris, Hashem came down on a mountain, and He gave a shir and didn't say a single chiddush. So Chassidus asks the question. I don't understand. The Eibush come down on a mountain to give the Torah. Zaga chiddush. So what's the teretz? The teretz, if the Eibush came down on a mountain, the chiddush was not the chochmas HaTorah that He revealed. The chiddush was the Eibush Himself. He gave us Himself. And when it comes to the Eibush Himself, even newborns are Mirash Kels Yankiv. But the halacha of Yerusha is a tinik ben yemi, a fetus, a baby that's not born, is a major problem for Yerush. The day that baby is born, Yerush Hakel, everything is his. It's all his. As long as you're born, as long as you're actually physically alive in Kader Haaretz, so you're Yerush. You inherit. The Eibush gave the Torah to us on a level where children, babies, infants have a shaykhis. Because when Hashem gave us the Torah, in the Torah He gave us Himself. And Himself, either nobody has a shaykhis to it, or even a baby has a shaykhis to it. And this is what the Chazal say. That when a person learns Torah, Mala Halan be'emo ve'yido be'reses u'beziyah. Afkan. Just like when Hashem gave us the Torah at Har Sinai the first time, we shook hands and foot. Ema be'yidah. When a Yid learns Torah from Leonard Torah be'ema be'yidah, I always tell you should not learn Torah with your feet up. You shouldn't learn Torah. It's the Torah you have to learn. I'm not saying you should sit eingespannt like a straight jacket, but Torah you have to learn with derech eretz. Torah is not like reading a book. It's Chachmas Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it's not just Chachmas Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's Tzeinis Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not just Tzeinis Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's Tanuga, it's Shashuya Melech Batzmusa. This is, what's it the Lashon? Nea Mavaya. Right? Shashuya Melech. That's what Torah is. And when a Yid learns Torah, the Shaykhas that he's in Yonim. And that's why by Chasidim, the Inyan of the Misnagdim, Shvuas learn Torah. The Chasidim Shvuas say Tikkun. Why? Because Tikkun Lel Shvuas is Oisiyes HaTorah. It's just letters. It's just letters. Tikkun Lel Shvuas is not like a pilpul. It's not a gishmak. Because on Shvuas is Oisiyes HaTorah. That's the idea. Bittel. Oisiyes HaTorah. That's why in Shavuos we say Tikkun Lel Shavuos. And we stay up all night. And Fatah gate in the mikveh. And Mitzvah Hashem this year Shavuos will also go to the mikveh. I mean, how many of you are zeicha to have a shoulder that's going to be open? How many of you are zeicha to have a mikveh which is going to let you come? But the Mitzvah Hashem by next Thursday night, the Rebbe to help us to chaffen in alle Sachen. Man kann gehen in Mikve, kann sagen, ticken, und mal freilich in Yom Tov. Chaim.
Chaim.
Does anybody want to make any comments or speeches or Lashon Hara or the Chilus or Meitzi Shemrad or Betelim, Beheter or Beiser? Epis Avot, something.
Oh, Beiser, your mom is giving a heter for Beiser over here.
Beheter meint, was ist abgebunden. Isser meint, was ist eingeschlossen. But yeah.
Hello?
Levi, I want to tell you one thing.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a heter to do a dvari, so don't look for a heter, just do it. For a meist mit Maditche.
Was scheiden wir jeder Klamak im Rache.
So the Rebbe Tamal getouched Shene Gemara, nit bepashtas.
What's Pshat?
He didn't touch it the way we understand it. I forgot, but I heard the tape. The Rebbe was getouched very edel. But for a meist mit Maditche Verov, a guy came to Maditche, we didn't have Eder. So, okay, yeah. But then he told the Maditche he waited a whole week. As on a kleiner Averes. He said, oh, for them in the Daka Mechila. For them in the Daka Mechila.
Right, but there's two.
I'm listening. Shoit ve'einenu. What happened to Levi? Kilakach I say zoom. He was zoomed out of here. Maybe Levi will come back and say something. In Lubavitch, is Levi here? Levi, you're back? He disappeared. Levi disappeared. Rabbi Levi, Harav Reb Levi. In Lubavitch, 770 Shavuos. I mean, this is before my time. One of the nice features of Shavuos was that for many years, close to 20 years, the Elam went home. The night of Shavuos, they ate Sudas Yom Tov. They came back to 770. They said Slichas. They said Kinnis, Tikkun, Shavuos. At 3 o'clock in the morning, the Rebbe came into the shul. He would go to his place. And as far as I understand, the Rebbe didn't even have a nigun. The Rebbe came into the shul, sat down in his place, and he said, Amay Mechsidus. So it was like, the whole idea of Fartog, early in the morning, in this time of year, the nights are very short. In other words, Alei Zashach is very early. So the Rebbe would come in at 3 in the morning and say, Amay Mechsidus. By the time the Rebbe was finished, it was already Mervenik and Tog. It was like a Matan Teire. And this Maime was not part of a Farbrengen. Bechlal, the Rebbe's Maimorim were part of a Farbrengen. This Maime was an entity unto itself. The Rebbe would come downstairs, it was quiet, everyone stood in their place. The Rebbe would say, Amay Mechsidus, and then we'd get up and walk out. That was the whole thing. It was very special. And I heard that the first time the Rebbe did it, the Rebbe came downstairs, and they actually asked where people were. And they told the Rebbe they're going in a mikveh. And I think the Rebbe even waited a little bit. It was coming from mikveh. The Rebbe wanted the Farbrengen. It was a very special inyan of Shavuos. Another feature of Shavuos, and this started later, in Rav Ashkenazi's book, it's written that he was the one who started it. In Lubavitch, Shavuos used to be called Chag HaMatzos. Everything in Lubavitch is faket. The whole world has Shabbos HaGodel before Pesach. We have Shabbos HaGodel after Pesach. The whole world Chag HaMatzos is Pesach. In Lubavitch, Chag HaMatzos is Shavuos. What's matzos? Matzos, Rosh Hashanah, made a tzedek. Rabbonim could not come to the Rebbe Pesach. They were busy with their inyanim. Rabbonim could not come to the Rebbe Sukkot. They were busy with their inyanim. Shavuos, there's only one shaila. Yeah? How do you kasha a fleishik oven to make a cheesecake? There's only shaila. So the Rabbonim used to come to the Rebbe every year Shavuos. And in Ashkenazi's book, Rav Ashkenazi's biography, it says he was the first one to do it. And then it became already widespread that Rabbonim would come to the Rebbe Shavuos. And the Rebbe would talk about it. They would talk about the Rabbonim. They say L'chaim. So by the Rebbe, if I'm coming to the Rabbonim Shavuos, by all the Rabbeim was the same thing. Shavuos the Rabbonim used to come. It was called Chag HaMatzos. But Tzemach Tzedek, Shavuos was something special. Because the Tzemach Tzedek was a king. Tzemach Tzedek was the Rebbe of all Russia. All the Chassidim in Russia. And the biggest Rabbonim in Russia were the Lubavitch Chassidim that came to the Rebbe for Shavuos. One of those Rabbonim was a Yid whose name was Reb Shneur Zalman Fratkin, the Teiras Chesed. Reb Shneur Zalman Fratkin, it was named after the Alter Rebbe, the Teiras Chesed, was a Jew who didn't have to pay for a book because he bought it. He had to pay for a book because he saw it, because he read it. Because once he read the book, he had no need for it. He had a photographic memory, and he didn't forget anything. So people who sold Sfarim said to him, you don't pay for a book because you read it, you have to pay for it. Fanafil Amaisi, he once came to American Sfarim, the guy was selling books. He picked up a sefer, he looked through it. He put the book down on the table and says, here's your 3 euro, but we can keep the book, it's junk. But once he saw a sefer, he didn't need it. He used to come to the Tzemach Tzedek every year Shavuos. And you say there was that he would bring the Tzemach Tzedek Bikurim. In our time, we used to read every year there was a Yid, his name was Kowalski. I think. Kowalski used to bring the Rebbe Bikurim Shavuos every year. I'm almost sure. But he brought fruit. He brought peaches to Bikurim. Yeah? The Teiras Chesed's Bikurim was Chiddush HaTeirah. He would come to Lubavitch for Shavuos. And one time during his visit, he would have an opportunity, a Yechidus, not Yechidus. He would walk into the Tzemach Tzedek and he would say his Chiddush HaTeirah that he prepared. Every year, a new Chiddush HaTeirah. Tzemach Tzedek would listen. Tzemach Tzedek would have Hanoah. Tzemach Tzedek would sometimes make a comment. And this gave him Chayes a whole year. A ganze year. So one year he came and he said his Chiddush HaTeirah. And when he finished, the Tzemach Tzedek said, "It farzen a Mishnah. You missed a Mishnah in Shas." Now here was a guy, the joke was that Tzemach Tzedek once tested him on a blot Gemara, a blot Marsha, and a blot Kinnis. I mean, he had a phenomenal memory. A page of Gemara, a page of Marsha, and a page of Kinnis. Who knows Kinnis of Tisha B'Av by heart? He just knew everything by heart. Forgot a Mishnah. Tzemach Tzedek says he forgot a Mishnah. So he got very excited. He says, in what Seder? He couldn't chapter. So he tells him, Kachim. He still didn't, which Mesichte? He said, B'cheres, I think. In what Perek? He couldn't figure out what the mistake was. Until the Tzemach Tzedek started to say the Mishnah. And then he chapter, he forgot a Mishnah. And he walked away from Tzemach Tzedek and he cried. And he said, Bazal Loshen. Das heist gelern Teira Lishma. This is the pshat that you learn Teira Lishma, that the Teira is open. And then he said, Ein mol nij gelern Teira Lishma. If you once in your life learn Teira Lishma, but means dem madrege nish keren zukommen. This madrege you're not going to have. This was the Teira's Chesed. So beim Tzemach Tzedek, he gave Shavuos a tish with Choshev Rabbanim, the biggest Rabbanim in Russia. And the Seder was that it was called a nigletish. There was a meal, the milchaka meal, the first day Shavuos was, they didn't wash, they ate mezenes. It was open only to the Rabbanim. The Rebbetzin prepared milchiks. And the Rabbanim would sit, Tzemach Tzedek sat b'nei shulchan, and the thing took less than an hour. It was a short meal. And Tzemach Tzedek would open up this conversation with Avarta Niglat, Avarta Halacha. The Rabbanim would talk about it a little bit. It's called the Niglat Tishbam. Tzemach Tzedek is Gvenzera Choshev Ezah. By all the Rabbeim, Shavuos fang the Rabbanim coming. Today, Ada Yemedeh, Tavshin Payment. I don't know because of quarantine what's going to be, but if the Rabbanim are able, you'll see Rabbanim here for Shavuos. The Rabbanim come from the hall who want to be by the Rebbe, Chagamatzis. This is one of the animal of Shavuos. The Torah is given, the Rabbanim come. It's a Yom Tov of Torah, Yom Tov of Halacha. So I want to say L'chaim. I'm going to finish the Farbrengen a little bit early because I'm incredibly tired. Rabbi Levi, you were in the middle of saying something and then you disappeared.
Yeah, my phone shuts at 12:30. I have to get it reopened. So
it's a good thing. My computer shuts down at midnight. My internet shuts down at midnight. So what do you want to say? What were you going to say?
No, I was just saying that there's two ways to learn that story of the Bradishever, that he did a skafia, or that if you could wait a week, you know.
The Bradishever was not was makpid. The Bradishever felt that this is a very serious. Anyway, I want to give us all a bracha. We should be makabel the Torah besimcha bepnimius, and it shouldn't just be words. We should all love Torah and learn Torah for many years, and we should grow in Torah. And we shouldn't say that Torah is for misnagdim, because it's not true. Anybody who says that Torah is for misnagid is a misnagid. Torah is the Eibishter's, and the Gemara says, Rambam brings it. The Torah was given in a desert because it's munach b'terem and keren zavis. Anybody who wants can take it. Kesek Kahuna belongs to Aaron Rabbanim. Kesek Malchus belongs to David the Mishpachte. But Kesek Torah belongs to any Jew. To be zerchet the Kesek Torah is a high madrege. But to learn Torah we're all able. So l'chaim v'levracha, a guten Shabbos and a guten Chedesh and Kabbalah Torah, b'simcha b'pnimius. We want Mashiach now. L'chaim.
Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Okay, a gute Nacht, Yiddische Kinder, a good Shabbos. I'll see you on Sunday morning. Yeah, zugesund. My mouse is not working. Okay, a gute Nacht.